Okay, we're going to call this finance meeting to order. So welcome to the May 6th, 2024 Finance Committee meeting. If you're joining us online, please be sure to mute your devices until you are called upon to speak. If you are here in person, if you would make sure that you turn your cell phones to manners mode, it would be appreciated. If you'd like to make a public comment, please, if you're online, feel free to use the raise hand function and Jennifer will call upon you. If you approach the podium, make sure you turn on the microphone, please. Please remember to clearly identify yourselves for the record. And with that, we'll have Jennifer read the first item.
Number 18, ordinance second reading, amending and updating the solid waste fee schedule in accordance with section 8.44.010 of the municipal code of the city of Cheyenne, Wyoming, and repealing ordinance number 4503.
Staff report, please.
Vicki Nemechek, Public Works. This is the fiscal year 2025 solid waste fee schedule ordinance. I did send an email out to everyone on Friday afternoon that included the solid waste fee schedule, the new one, the summary of changes, and a presentation that was made in 2019 when we updated our solid waste master plan. That is a 10-year plan and allowed for certain increases in specific areas, which I'll go through. And this plan does follow that, except for a few other instances where I did list on the summary of changes. But the residential garbage recycle will increase by 1%. The commercial garbage, municipal solid waste will increase by 3%. Commercial recycling by 5%. The landfill gate, so per ton as you drive across the scale, 3% increase. Transfer station, so if you haul it in yourself, 2% increase. Roll-offs will increase 3% and yard waste 1%. And we also continue to implement recommendations from the master plan. One of those things that you'll be hearing about today is the planning and implementation of 410s. So that we'll go to some of our pickups will be residential primarily. We'll go to 4 10-hour days. So I would be happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions from the committee? Hey, hearing.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Going.
Councilman Johnson.
Yes, through you, please. So on your Burns McDonald, this is on this specific item, right? It's not on the one with the route thing that's up. That's different. Okay, I wanted to make sure that you
Yeah,
didn't
this is the
treat a hybrid
ordinance.
here. Okay.
Nope, we
So I
did.
knew you had two different items.
We do.
So in regards to, I see when your 10-hour residential, so have we seen a fairly substantial increase in regards to fuel costs in regards to your budget over that, say, like since like 2021, 22, that, that this is, that you had to equate for more in your budget in regards to that?
Through you, Chair, we have increased our budgets by approximately 5% each year. I believe one of them was a little higher than that, but each year we've increased our fuel budgets by 5%.
And has that been pretty sustainable, that you've been able to match costs as they go up, or do you, I mean, I know 5%, for each year for like, let's say the last fiscal 4, have you been pretty consistent in regards to that your estimates have been pretty on par with the way that fuel costs have been?
Through you, Chair, yes, we actually have done very well. We've created some efficiencies, and in this, you'll also hear today about some optimization that we believe we can also do some additional efficiencies. So through efficiencies, through making sure that we charge consistently at the transfer station and throughout we charge by volume. We've been very good at making sure in the past 5 years that we are following all of our own rules, and we haven't always done that in the past. We're being very careful about that. Everybody has garbage, everybody creates garbage, everybody pays for garbage.
That was all I had.
Any other questions from the committee? Okay, any public comment? Okay, hearing none, I would entertain a motion.
Madam Chair, I move to approve on second reading.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilman Johnson, a second by Councilman White to approve on second reading. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed?
Aye.
Okay, the recommendation from the Finance Committee will be to approve at the next meeting of the governing body. Next item.
Number 19, ordinance second reading, amending sections 10.82.030 and 10.82.040 of the municipal code of the city of Cheyenne, Wyoming, modifying the term of dockless vehicle licenses, specifying an effective date and making other conforming amendments.
So, Madam Chair, I just want to make sure it was correctly recorded that I was a no vote on that last one.
Sorry, yes, I did. Did you get that?
I just wanted to make sure. Thank you very much. My apologies.
Thank you for clarifying. Okay, do we have a staff report?
Madam Chairman, John Brody, Deputy City Attorney. The proposal in front of you is an ordinance that's intended to be temporary in nature to shift the annual licensing of dockless vehicles to a monthly licensing scheme. This is being provided to you in conjunction with the mayor's office. The ultimate intent is to get a more permanent resolution, or excuse me, ordinance in front of the council to shift the administration and regulation of dockless vehicles to an operating agreement executed between the particular company and the city of Cheyenne. My understanding is that this approach will allow for more flexibility, but also more oversight by the city to cure some of the issues that come up time to time with dockless vehicles being left in the public right of way, essentially not being managed in the way that I think the city of Cheyenne ideally would like them. So this is just to allow for those that are currently licensed to continue with their businesses in the city while our office and the mayor's office get the details of the operating agreement ordinance in front of the council. Happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions for Mr. Brody?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
So-
Councilman Chilson.
John, when you say temporary, I don't see a sunset on this. And so what do you mean by temporary?
Madam Chairman, Councilman Johnson. So I mean temporary in the sense that once we have the final product for that operating agreement ordinance, that that ordinance would go in and essentially repeal the current operating practice, including this monthly licensure scheme.
What's your timeline you expect to have that ready?
I've already had meetings with the planning department. They provided an initial rough draft. I've taken that draft and worked with TJ in our purchasing office to get it more in line with how the RFP process works in the city. I would imagine that this operating agreement approach is done within the next month or two and ready for your consideration.
Okay, so we're doing this one first and then, so in a month, is this piece that you just did for us here going to be obsolete and it's going to be a complete rewrite after you get new data? That sounds like a little cart before the horse type of thing, or why wasn't it done all at one time? Because I guess I'm kind of concerned now. I agree with this all in principle. Now I'm just concerned that, if we pass this now with third readings, is all of a sudden the introduction for the new language after we get the RFP process through TJ done, is it going to have a complete rewrite after we just approved it? And so we're going to hear another 5 weeks. So this is like a 10-week process, or is this, what's our outline on what we're actually trying to accomplish?
Madam Chairman, so I can't give you a definite date on when this new operating agreement approach will be ready and finalized for your consideration. The reason that this is being proposed to you is that new process can't really roll forward if all of the current operators in the city are given new year-long licenses.
Okay.
All of those licenses expire here in the next month, beginning on January 1st of 2024.
Okay, that makes sense.
June 1st?
June 1st is the first license that expires.
So like he stated, this is a stopgap procedure.
Yeah, so this allows for them to continue on. It doesn't bind the ability of the city to shift this new approach by essentially making us honor those year-long license terms. So once we've dotted our i's, crossed our t's, and have an ordinance that's ready for your consideration, we can present that to you when the time is appropriate, not when the license terms would dictate.
Okay, and then were you the one that formulated the math when this was drafted?
Yes.
Okay, so can you clarify, because usually when I do these, when I make changes, on say 10.82030B, 2 and 3, it looks like, so is this non-refundable annual licensing fee of $200 and a non-refundable annual license fee of $5 for each dockless vehicle? Is that now going to be substituted with, F as in Foxtrot 2 and 3? I guess I would have thought that this language on Bravo 2 and 3 would have been struck out, or is, because that was what I was trying to add up with the math. So are now they going to have an annual fee of $200 and then a non-refundable licensing fee of $5 for each dockless vehicle, in addition to a non-refundable monthly license fee of $17, and then the non-refundable monthly fee of 50 cents per dockless vehicle. So when, you know, come June 1st of this year, when they file, what is it they're actually going to be paying?
So Madam Chairman, what I did is I just took the annual license fee of $200, divided that by 12, and then rounded to the nearest dollar, which gets you your $17 a month fee. The dockless vehicle fee that is in addition to that licensing fee is $5 a year. It's on a fleet basis. So
Okay,
basically what I did there is I took that $5 again, divided it by 12. That got me to a little over 41 cents, which I would make that sort of payment a little cumbersome, I believe, not only for the city, but for the companies. So I just rounded that up to 50% or 50 cents. Because this starts on June 1st, and the intent is to essentially rewrite the entire approach. I didn't go into the existing code language. I just had that these new pricing schemes apply to this monthly licensure, which begins on June 1st, which is that first company's
right. So I guess on
expiration.
timelines, the way that I understand it is, you know, pretty much this law wouldn't go into place until it was published in the periodical of note after third reading. And so was there any reason why we didn't strike out 2 and 3? Because it's currently what, May 6th? And so by the time that we're at third and final reading, it would by the time it was published in that, I believe that Saturday's paper, wouldn't that put us past the June 1st deadline, so that all of your language that in column F or section F would now be applicable, and we therefore wouldn't have to fall back on B 2 and 3?
Madam Chairman, this will pass, pending your consideration. This will be adopted on May 28th. In speaking with the clerk's office, customarily, we have that publication completed by that Saturday, which would be June 1st, which would be the same date that the license would expire. Again, I didn't want to go into the old code provisions on annual licensure and clean it up, because basically it's all going to go away anyway. So this new subsection F in the proposal will dictate what the city does in that temporary period before we shift to the new approach.
Okay, and since this is on second reading, I don't want to belabor that, but can you please put that in a note if, so by third reading, if we do have to have this type of strikeout, depending on what happens at council next Monday, as well as this following committee meeting, because it looks like the date lineup would be there, and then looks like it would have conflicting code, because even though it kind of says specified by F, in your red text on Bravo, it just seems like it would be more efficient to have those two lines struck out of Bravo and just have F as in its entirety by the time it's for third and final reading. Especially with the way our calendar timeline works.
Madam Chairman, I can do what council wishes. However, with due respect, I think that's not necessary. The intro language in the existing subsection B now says unless otherwise specified on subsection F. So because F dictates a monthly scheme and also dictates a different per vehicle charge and a different licensure fee. By operation of how I've rewritten subsection B, none of those provisions apply if they conflict. But I can prepare an amendment.
Any other questions from committee? Okay, I did have one question for you. I'm curious as to the 50 cents per each dockless vehicle. Is that similar to what we're seeing in surrounding areas and communities, that allow dockless vehicles? Do you know?
Madam Chairman, no, I don't. Again, I didn't want to disturb what past council had approved, so this just maintained the status quo, but tried to shift it into a monthly perspective.
And will it be, and is it, I couldn't tell from this, is it self-reported? Basically, the company says we have 200 units and we take their word for it, or is there some sort of a verification process?
Madam Chairman, this is administered through the city clerk's office, I believe, so maybe they can comment on that, but I don't have any
Thank
information.
you.
Chris Jones, City Clerk. Madam Chair. Yes, it's a kind of an honor system. They tell us they have 200 scooters. You know, we don't go out and count them. We just assume that that's running by, and they pay that fee whether they come in with their fleet. They say they're using 200. They may have 100 on the street. They may have 150. They may lose 10 or 12. They're still paying that fee unless they come in to renew when they would normally renew annually. They would adjust their fleet at that time, but we don't typically adjust it other than at the time they come in to be licensed.
I just wondered because I think originally when we approved these initially, I think we were looking at about 200 in the community, but I would venture to say that we have far more than 200 in the community right now.
Madam Chair, that is correct. That's part of the reason for the rewrite on this and the revamp and to go into the RFP process, to my understanding, is to eliminate some of the chaos and be able to hold a company accountable and just have them work better in the community for us. I do know that other areas, I believe, are using the RFP process and it's worked better for them. The fees, by the way, there may be an adjustment to those coming forward. I recall right, meeting with the other departments, it's been a while since we've talked about this from the clerk's side, but I believe our fees were a bit lower than most surrounding areas, so I would look
get
for an
that.
adjustment in that area as well.
Great, thank you so much.
Mhm.
Any other questions from committee? Any public comment? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion.
Madam Chair, I move to approve on second reading.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion from Councilman Cook and a second by Councilman White. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? This item will move forward with recommendation from the Finance Committee to approve at the next meeting of the governing body. Next item.
Number 23, resolution adopting the City of Cheyenne 2024 Program Year Annual Action Plan prepared by the City of Cheyenne Housing and Community Development Office.
Staff report, please.
Hello, my name is Amy Gorby. I am the Community Development Manager for the Housing and Community Development Division. And I am here to present a brief staff report for CDBG Program Year 2024 allocations. We have a slide here. So we have 3 areas that we are allocating funds to. We have the public service projects, and the total amount that we are allocating is 65,000, and there's a percentage cap on that for funding that we can use for public service. For general service, we have $387,409 available for those projects. And for administration, we have $89,602. Next slide, please. The budget breakdown for these categories: for public service, we have $18,000 for Equal Justice Wyoming Foundation. For legal services for low to moderate income individuals, we have $10,000 for Safe House Services for Victims Assistance Fund, $17,000 for Safe House Services for utility assistance for their shelter, and $20,000 for Needs Inc. for their food pantry program. In the general service category, we have $88,000 for Habitat for Humanity of Laramie County for acquisition and rehabilitation for a home for Habitat family. We have $88,000 for our home rehabilitation program for Habitat for Humanity, and then $299,209 for Habitat for Humanity for acquisition and rehab for a blighted property for Habitat family. For program and administration, there's $89,602, and that includes supplies, advertising, training, membership dues, and staffing costs. Next slide, please. Thank you. These projects serve two consolidated plan goals. We are currently in the final year of our consolidated plan. 2024 program year will be in the final year. And so those goals are to provide safe, decent, affordable housing and to promote self-sufficiency through service provision. With goal 1, we will be providing home rehabilitation for 11 low to moderate income families through the Habitat Repair Program support. We will provide one family with a rehabilitated home and improve blighted neighborhoods with both of those projects. And then for goal number 2, we'll be providing 25 low to moderate income individuals with free legal services. We will be supporting food pantry, about 1,500 residents with food from the food pantry, and approximately 60 victims of domestic violence with emergency services. And then finally, the utility assistance for the shelter will assist 375 victims of domestic violence. Final slide, please. The impact of this is estimated to be, we will impact approximately 2,000 city residents. I am happy to take questions, but I would also like to say we have directors from Equal Justice Wyoming Foundation, Habitat for Humanity of Laramie County, and Safe House Services in the room. And I would welcome any of those directors to come and answer questions as well.
Thank you. Any questions from committee? We'd like to thank all of you for being here. Do we have any public comment? Or anyone that came that would like to make a public comment? Okay, well, hearing none, I would entertain a motion.
Madam Chair, I move to adopt.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman White, a second by Councilman Cook to adopt. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair, through you, Amy, I wanted to thank you for the well-presented, the well-articulated presentation that you gave to council at the last meeting of the governing body. And last week, President Escabel and I had a chance to do a tour of the Safe House Services Complex. I used to be on this advisory committee before I was on council, so I know the importance that it does for the community, and just want to thank everybody for all the information they've been able to provide us. This is an extremely tough program. The directors are really doing angels work, and I appreciate their efforts. And it's really difficult to see how the funding for this program has decreased over the years. Used to be a lot more money that this council was able to give out, but not so much anymore. But thank you for doing what you can with what you have.
I would echo that. Any other comments or discussion from committee? Okay, hearing none, we do have a motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
This recommendation from the Finance Committee will be to adopt at the next meeting of the governing body. Next item.
Number 25B, improvement agreement between the City of Cheyenne and DB Cheyenne LLC for acceptance of cash in lieu for public improvements, including a turn lane as required by the UDC and traffic impact study for the development.
Do we have a staff report?
Yes, is my mic on? Yeah. Madam Chair, my name is Cassie Pickett, Engineering Manager for Engineers Office. And before you, for your consideration, is the improvement agreement with Dutch Brothers. I wanted to start with a little bit of history on the project and going through. This is at the area of McCann and Pershing, Dutch Brothers development at the corner. The TIS study showed the need for a right turn lane on Pershing. Currently in design in the engineer's office was the Hawk system that needed to be installed. So that was going through design. There was discussion about installing the right turn lane and Dutch Brothers needing to do that. they wanted to proceed forward quickly with the development, and we had concerns about the Hawk system and coordinating with speed. So the engineer's office accepted a cash in lieu or an alternate surety for the improvements of the right turn lane. And this is the agreement in front of you.
Thank you. Are there any questions from committee? Hey, I had one question. Do we really think that I believe it's $70,000 is going to be sufficient as or $70,500 in lieu of what it's going to cost to make those accommodations for the Hawk system when they're needed?
Madam Chair, the 70,500 was an estimate from Dutch Brothers only. That doesn't have anything to do with the Hawk system. It is separate to their development. So the Hawk system is going to be a different project. We did make modifications so that the Hawk system would be placed in consideration with this right turn lane. I don't believe that the 70,500 will totally encompass the install of the right turn lane. That being said, we've discussed internally and we feel like it's a fair contribution.
Okay, and I understood that it did not include the Hawk system, but I'm looking at 277 linear feet of type A curb and gutter, 275 linear feet of saw cutting, 110 cubic yards of unclassified excavation, 20 feet of radius curb, and then a concrete ADA ramp. And I would just question whether that amount of money in lieu for that is adequate to cover that, or if you're going to be assessing other businesses as they develop along that strip.
We are going to we're going to be assessing a lot of different factors in regards to public improvements, such as these. There would have been a significant time constraint on determining this. The traffic that is requiring the right turn lane is not only Dutch Brothers traffic. There's other traffic contributing from other businesses. So yes, when we look at the traffic study for that area, once we do look at doing the work, we will do a traffic study on the area and look at what businesses are contributing to that traffic. And we can seek reimbursement from other businesses that contribute to the need.
Thank you. Any, Councilman Johnson?
Yeah, I guess just following up on what Dr. Alders said. Having been to many of these locations, I know how much traffic they actually bring in and when it's gonna flow off McCann. The only comment I can make is that this funding will be held for future development of this intersection. Even though it's not in the text, it would be, I think it's gonna be in the near future development because this is about to bring a lot of traffic on McCann going that way. I already get concerns because of the kids walking from the trailer parks headed north to go to Bags. So we already talked about the Hawk. You said that really didn't apply here, but now I got kids. Now I got one of the biggest coffee chains in the country coming through here. As well as Pizza Hut, Qdoba, Dazbog, and everything else on that, as well as the traffic that already goes up north on McCann, as a regular one. I think this is gonna probably be a very near future accommodation that we're gonna be asking those businesses in that area to accommodate, because this is about to become a very, very, very congested intersection.
This could become our next Dairy Queen issue. So,
Please no.
oh, any other questions from committee? Any public comment?
Madam Chair, I do have one more note. On page 2 of 5 of the agreement, there's an additional reference to Exhibit A. The owner shall pay to the city cash in lieu payments in the amount set forth on Exhibit A, if any. That should state Exhibit B.
Okay, and will you have this corrected before the council meeting?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other questions? Any public comment? Go ahead, Casey.
Oh, okay, it's still on. Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the committee, Casey Palma, Palma Land Planning, agent for the owner. I just want to make a couple points real quick. So the engineer's opinion, the cost estimate for the cash in lieu is multiplied for the right of way work, so multiplied by a factor of 150%.
It is.
So, that should help to offset some of those costs. As Ms. Pickett noted, the timeline for those improvements and also the technical aspects of making that turn lane work with the existing street grades. As you all know, McCann dives off pretty sharply from Pershing. So we ran into that issue on the design side. And as engineering noted, working through some of that stuff in a larger plan seemed to be the best approach. So that's part of why it went this direction, I think. In terms of the Dairy Queen comment, I would note, if you see the exhibit attached, we did circulate the traffic all the way to the west end of the site coming in off of McCann and then back through, and Dutch Bros does have a 2-lane queue. So there's more than sufficient queuing, we hope, but much more than what's typically required. So we did consider those issues in the site design and made sure that we provided that sufficient queuing. And then in addition to that, as you all know, this development is kind of at the east end of that Holmes Corner development. So there's some undeveloped property between the Breeze Through and Dutch Bros. There is a connection between those two all the way over to the other end of the Breeze Through driveway. So that should also help to alleviate traffic issues in the future when those middle properties develop, enabling that cross circulation between the sites. I believe right now that's going to be closed off. Right now it's a BOPU access road to get to the utilities in there. But in the long term, when those interim properties redevelop, we should see sort of a little bit better circulation and ability for people to, ease the traffic burden on Pershing. So.
Thank you.
Have a good rest of your question.
Any other questions, Mr. Paul?
Yeah, Casey, I'm gonna hold you to the word. When this grand opening happens, will you come pick up a coffee and we're gonna test your theory on that, why are we waiting around? Franchise?
Well, just like everywhere else is saying, let's give it a week or two. Through you, Madam Chair.
We are looking forward to having this new business in Ward 3.
Yes.
So thank you for all your work on this.
I have a question for
Sure.
Casey.
Councilman White?
Madam Chair, through you to Casey. Casey, when you said the circular, so that it's a 2 cube, is that similar to what Ziggy's on Pershing has done? It seems to me that it sounds pretty similar because Ziggy's has a lane going in one way and then a lane going in the other way. So to avoid any.
Yeah, Madam Chair, through
comparison with
you.
Dairy Queen.
The exhibit's attached to the design. I don't actually know now whether you can see the whole site layout. It's a little different than that. Basically, all the vehicles would come in from McCann at the southeast portion of this site. And they would travel that entire 250 or so feet all the way back towards the Breeze Through. And when they turn to go north, so their driver's window will be facing that new building there. That's when it splits to 2 lanes. So they'll have 2 full lanes of car, kind of more like McDonald's maybe,
Chick-fil-A.
or Chick-fil-A.
Yep.
Yep.
Got it. I was just trying to visualize that. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. Thank you.
It's a sad day when we're referencing fast food restaurants as our traffic patterns. Right. Yikes. Any other questions from committee? Any public comments? Okay. At this point, I would entertain a motion.
Madam Chair, I move to approve an amount not to exceed $70,500.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilman White, a second from Councilman Johnson. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so we have Councilman White and Councilman Johnson who have voted yes. Councilman Cook was a no vote. The recommendation from the Finance Committee will be to approve at the next meeting of the governing body. Next item.
Number 25C, professional services agreement between the City of Cheyenne and Universe Incorporated for the sanitation rerouting and optimization project.
Staff report, please.
Adele Bartel, Public Works Staff Engineer, for a total of $142,676 Universe Inc. has agreed to reroute and optimize the sanitation routes, which will accommodate the 410s for residential trash pickup schedule and future annexations of county pockets. I'll be happy to take any questions.
Any questions from committee?
Just a
Councilman
comment.
Johnson.
I think that Jeff and I talked about this yesterday. That we actually think this is a very good thing with the growth of our city, that we'd rather have a data-driven project. And I really liked your timeline of January 31st of 2025 to have your study in place, and then actually looking at your 2019 document, that this was kind of part of your already strategic plan to look at your scheduling for the, the 410s and things like that. So no, I think this is a good study, and I hope you guys put it to good use and learn some valuable information on it.
Any other questions or comments from committee? I do have to say that in my visit to the, with the sanitation crew, that the 4 10-hour days, I think will be really appreciated and will really increase morale, quite honestly. So thank you for looking at that option. Any comments from the public? Seeing none or hearing none, I would entertain a motion.
Madam Chair, I move to accept the bid in an amount not to exceed $142,676.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion from Councilman Cook and a second from Councilman White to accept the bid. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This recommendation from the Finance Committee will be to accept the bid at the next meeting of the governing body. Next item, please.
Number 26A, contract modification number 2 to contract number 7775 between the City of Cheyenne and Sunrise Engineering for additional engineering services for the 7th Street Drainage and Access Improvements Project, 2019 to 2022, optional 1% sales tax fund.
Staff report, please.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the Finance Committee, Tom Cobb, City Engineer. Before you and for your consideration is a contract modification number 2 between the City of Cheyenne and Sunrise Engineering. This is for additional engineering services. The reason for the change was additional coordination needed from the BOPU and some design details that they requested to be added on the project. We have some additional signage and pavement markings that need to be upgraded. And we also then modified the intersection of 7th Street and Platt to make it a concrete intersection instead of asphalt. We are looking at a contract modification amount of $6,500. This fund is from the 2019 to 2022 1% optional purpose tax, 5th penny. And with that, I will answer any questions you might have of me.
Any questions from committee?
Yes, sir. Or excuse me, yes, ma'am. Sorry, I'm looking at him and talking to you.
Not a problem.
Sorry about that.
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
so I guess on this one, because of the monetary amount of $6,500, was there a reason that this came this seems like such a small number. That's why I wanted to make sure it wasn't a typo here. Is there a reason why this actually came to Finance Committee when you guys approved so many different change orders that seem like way larger than that we don't see?
Madam Chair, through you to Councilman Johnson. The reason is the contract was below the 75,000 mark. So we assigned the original contract without your approval. So then the 2 contract mods had to come in front of you. I hope that makes sense.
Because it totaled more.
Just to
Councilman.
follow up on that, then Mr. Cobb, then because of the modifications, then those modifications probably pushed it over the threshold then. Is what I'm.
Madam
hearing you
Chair,
say.
through you. So again, the first contract was under the 75,000 mark, which means the contract never went in front of you. But then the modifications, any of those would have to come in front of you. So it's a little awkward, but we normally don't try to do it this way, but there were some changes that were needed. So I apologize.
Any other questions from committee? Any public comment? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion.
Go ahead.
Madam Chair, I move to approve an amount not to exceed $6,500.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion from Councilman White, second from Councilman Johnson. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This recommendation from the Finance Committee will be to accept this bid at the next meeting of the governing body. Next item, please.
Number 26B, contract modification number 1 to contract number 7897 between the City of Cheyenne and Richardson Construction Incorporated for the gymnastics facility project, 2019 to 2022 optional 1% sales tax fund.
Staff report, please.
Morning, Madam Chair, Doug Klon, City Construction Manager. This is a CRE project, but the change order is because we needed to go in order to keep construction going on the gymnastics center and put the detention facility in that is part of Paul Smith Way. So the best way we found to do that was through change order to Richardson Construction, and this will be funded out of the Fifth Penny Fund that is going to construct Paul Smith Way. Looking here. Oh, we generated some civil plans and a construction bid tab. And Richardson Construction returned that for an amount of $74,292.50. And that is the amount of the change order that we are seeking today.
Okay, are there any questions, Mr. Klon?
I just have a comment. Reading your documentation, I'm really glad you guys found this on the front end, because after we look at it, what your concept was in regards to all the new concrete and all the new construction work, to actually think about, you know, the runoff and everything else in regards to your detention pond. So it just didn't sinkhole the entire project that we just spent, you know, $5 million on, because that would have probably been an embarrassment to the city. So I want to tell you, thank you. I'd rather have a $74,000 change order on the front end than literally a complete albatross around the city's neck in the future.
One does not preclude the other, by the way. Any other comments from committee? Okay, any public comments? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion.
Madam Chair, I move to approve in an amount not to exceed $74,292.50.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion from Councilman White and a second from Councilman Cook to approve this bid amount. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This item will go with recommendation to approve or to accept the bid at the next meeting of the governing body. Next item, please.
Number 27E, consideration of bid number S-12-24 for an agreement between the City of Cheyenne and JTL Group Incorporated, doing business as Knife River, for the 2024 City Overlay Number 1 project, 2021 Specific Purpose Option Tax Fund.
The first of many staff reports, Mr. Klon.
Madam Chair, Doug Klun, City Construction Manager. This is a part of our pavement management program, an important part. This particular job will do concrete and asphalt repairs to, I'll just go through a couple streets here. Walker, Trent, and Andra were projects that were slated to be done on the pavement management program several years ago. And as we work forward with the new survey, we're able to fit some of these older ones in. These streets do not get better. So we'll be taking care of those, finishing East 12th from Ridge Road to College, and then Ridge Road South on this project. We did receive 5 bids for this, with Knife River being the apparent low bidder for $2,192,669.75. Staff has reviewed this project, and it is our recommendation that we move forward with the contract.
Thank you, sir. And I see the completion date is scheduled for December 31st. Are there any questions from committee? Any public comment? Okay, so I would entertain a motion.
Madam Chair, I move to accept the bid in an amount not to exceed $2,192,669.75.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion from Councilman White, a second from Councilman Johnson to accept the bid. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, this item will move forward to the next meeting of the governing body with an accept the bid on it. So we will go to the next item.
Number 27F, consideration of bid number S-13-24 for an agreement between the City of Cheyenne and Simon Contractors for the 2024 City Overlay Number 2 project, 2021 Specific Purpose Option Tax Fund.
Staff report.
Madam Chair, Doug Klein, City Construction Manager. This again is a part of our pavement management program. This particular project will tackle Converse Avenue from the roundabout at Pershing north to Dutcher Field. We will stop short of Delrange due to the future expansion of Delrange and Converse intersection. And it picks up only one other street, which is Holmes Street. And the reason we've picked up Holmes Street on this particular project is that it has become a highly expensive street to maintain for street and alley. With so much deterioration on the surface, it's costing more to patch that street than it's going to cost to go back and resurface it. So these are the only two streets on this project, but it's a fairly extensive project. We did receive 5 bids on this as well, with Simon Contractors being the low at $1,518,379.60. Staff has reviewed this project and it's our recommendation that we move forward with the contract.
Thank you, sir. Is there any are there any questions? Councilman Johnson?
Yes, ma'am. Just looking this over, in regards to this type of project, is there because you triggered me with the Holmes comment, is there a warranty on this work? Or I know the only reason I asked that is because of your comment on Holmes, that it was going to cost us more to patch it than do this type of repair. So usually some of them have like a 2-year warranty after the work is done. Is that like standard processing through purchasing that we may not see it in our documentation, but TJ has that on file, or your office does?
Madam Chair, through you, Councilman Johnson, yeah, it's standard on these maintenance contracts to have a 2-year warranty on this. So, and since we're going to talk about Holmes a little bit, it currently is a concrete paved street. Concrete's lovely, but it's not necessary on that particular road. So we will be doing a project that removes 2 3/4 inches of concrete, and we'll be putting a fabric down and paving that with asphalt. And in the future, maintenance on that will be less expensive than it is right now as a concrete paved road.
Any other questions from committee? Any public comment? Okay, hearing none, I would entertain a motion.
Madam Chair, I move to accept the bid in an amount not to exceed $1,518,379.60.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilman White, a second from Councilman Johnson to accept the bid. Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, this item will have a recommendation from the Finance Committee to accept the bid at the next meeting of the governing body. Next item.
Number 27G, consideration of bid number S-15-24 for an agreement between the City of Cheyenne and Asphalt Preservation LLC for the 2024 Surface Seal Project Number 2, 2021 Specific Purpose Option Tax Fund.
Staff report.
Madam Chair, Doug Vaughn, City Construction Manager. This again is part of our pavement management program. The surface seal in this particular case is a slurry seal. And this will be following up the 2023 crack seal that we did, covering approximately 30 centerline miles of street. In addition to the sealer, they will go in prior to that application and they will take out and basically battery asphalt, new asphalt, and then move forward with the sealing process. We received 2 bids for this project, with asphalt preservation being the low bid at $2,084,128. Staff has reviewed this project, and it is our recommendation that we move forward with the contract.
Okay, are there any questions from committee? It should be noted that there are projects in every single ward on this proposed project, and that we're looking for a finish date of October 31st of this fall. So any public comment? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion.
Madam Chair, I move to accept the bid in an amount not to exceed $2,084,128.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion from Councilman White, a second from Councilman Johnson to accept the bid. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
This will have a recommendation from the Finance Committee, will be to accept the bid at the next meeting of the governing body. And seeing that we have no further business, this meeting is adjourned.